Good morning and Assalamu alaikum. I, Abdullah Khalid, on behalf of Center for Private Sector Engagement at STPI, Sustainable Development Policy Institute, and Pakistan Single Window, welcome you to the webinar series titled Trade Made Easy. The first webinar of this series will reflect on export facilitation schemes, the role of BSW and EFS practices in Pakistan. Before we start off with today's session, there are a few housekeeping rules. May I please request our speakers to keep their microphones off when they're not speaking to ensure good audio quality for everyone. Speakers are also encouraged to switch on their cameras, especially when they are speaking, if their network allow to do that without any disruption. The webinar is also being recorded. You're welcome to revisit the discussion later and feel free to share it with your network. We also invite questions from our audience and colleagues at the end or as the session goes. Please feel free to write them in the chat box or in the Q&A box on the right side. Today's session is being moderated by Engineer Ahad Nazir, Head Center for Private Sector Engagement. Now I hand over the session to him so we may begin the proceedings. Thank you.
Thank you, Abdullah. I hope I'm audible.
Very much.
Thank you, Ji. So just to start, I would like to thank all our esteemed panelists as well as the attendees that have joined us this morning. And of course, we appreciate that you have taken time out of your busy schedule to be with us. So Pakistan Single Window and STPI recently signed a memorandum of understanding. And we are trying to come up with good innovative ideas for better outreach and capacity building of several initiatives that are coming under the Pakistan Single Window. So one of the initiatives here, because as part of the Center for Private Sector Engagement at STPI, the main duties that are assigned to me are to engage with the private sector. And one of the things that they regularly tell us is that they don't actually are aware of several of the government schemes that are coming in, including the Pakistan Single Window. So that is why SDPI and Pakistan Single Window joined hands. And in order to ensure a more inclusive outreach of this wonderful initiative, which is the Pakistan Single Window. So just to briefly give a context, as we all can see, 2023 will eventually be a very difficult year for all of us, taking into account the gas crisis and our internal political instability. There are the evidence suggests that 2023 might be a very difficult year. On the trading across borders end, 2023 will eventually become a very difficult year because of the fact that the global recession has started. Our major trade partners, including the United States of America and the big powers like Germany in the European Union, have clearly stated that they have initiated the recession. They have called that the recession has started in early December this year, and due to that. The purchasing power going down in these economies, I think the export sector will definitely get ahead. So with this background, we initiated this Trade Made Easy webinar series, of course, with the help of Pakistan Single Window. And we will like to discuss similar topics here. This particular webinar is to discuss the export facilitation schemes that were launched in 2021. Instead of having different schemes, it gave us a unified scheme, and we will hear more from Mukarram Saab as we go forward. So just to start off, I'll be introducing Mr. Mukarram Ansari. He's member customs FPR. So Mukarram Saab joined the civil service in 1991. He has taken several places in the government, including his last assignment, which was with the Board of Investment. And I actually got to know him there as we were partners in organizing the turnaround conference. And Sir played a very important role there. So I'll hand over to Mukarram Saab for the special remarks, just to set the tone so that we can continue the discussion forward. Thank you, sir. Sir, you're on mute.
Thank you very much. Am I audible?
Yes, sir, you are. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Assalamu alaikum and a very good morning. It is a great pleasure and honor to be part of today's session on export facilitation schemes. It brings together EFS and Pakistan single window, which are two things which are very close to my heart, very high on my priority list, because we see from here a great transformation of the regulatory environment and enabling our exporters to do their business much faster, much easier, and with much less costs. So very happy to be here. I'll just talk a bit about how I see this whole thing. We've all heard about the concept of export-led growth, and some of us have also championed this economic strategy for Pakistan. We realize that healthy earnings from exports are widely acknowledged to play a critical role in providing sustained economic growth to any country. Pakistan's current exports are not only much below the country's true potential, but they have also shown a downward trend in the past few months. Falling export is rightly creating an alarm, as this would aggravate the existing problems in balancing the country's external account. The obvious solution for resolving the current economic crisis is to improve earnings from exports and enhancing our foreign currency reserves. However, to achieve this objective, our exporters need to be competitive in the global environment. And it is crucial for the public sector departments and agencies to take all possible measures to focus on reducing the cost, the time, and the complexity faced by exporters in complying with laws and regulations. So this is both the objective of Pakistan single window and the objective of the export facilitation scheme. The FBR had issued rules for the new export facilitation scheme in 2021 on the 14th of August. And it was envisaged that this scheme would continue alongside existing schemes like manufacturing bonds and export-oriented schemes for 2 years to enable the smooth transitioning. However, from July 2023, all other schemes would be phased out, and EFS would become the only system for facilitating exporters. Accordingly, EFS has been designed to have a wide coverage and scope, catering to the requirements of exporting firms such as manufacturer-cum-exporters, commercial exporters, indirect exporters, common export houses, vendors, and international toll manufacturers in Pakistan. Under the EFS 2021, the beneficiary firms will be able to obtain the authorization of imports by the Collector of Customs and Director General of Input-Output Coefficient Organization, generally known as IOCO. Inputs can consist of all goods, whether imported or purchased locally for manufacturing for the purpose of subsequent exports. Under the rules and regulations in the VBOC or through the Pakistan single window system. The Pakistan single window work is based on 100% paperless processing, enabling traders, clients to use and submit all information electronically. PSW is utilizing technology and is effectively nurturing simplification, harmonization, and digitalization of trade-related procedures to improve ease of doing business and compliance in Pakistan. And one of the major sectors to be integrated for Pakistan single window is the banking sector, because all the export transactions involve the remittance of foreign exchange. And we realized that the Form E procedure, manual Form E procedure or electronic Form E procedure was causing a lot of delays wherever there were deviations. So we have managed to make it integrated between the trader, the commercial banks, the state bank, and customs. We anticipate that EFS 2021 would decrease cost of doing business and cost of tax compliance. It would also reduce liquidity problems of exporters by eliminating sales tax refunds and duty drawback for exporters registered in EFS. So essentially, it is a duty and tax suspension regime. Anybody who's registered can get all the inputs without any duty and tax. So less cash is involved in payment in duty and taxes. And subsequently, they also don't have to wait in the queue to get their sales tax refund or in customs duty drawback. So this is a very smooth way of working for organizations and companies who are mainly focused on exports. FBR also expects that this would attract more users and help in making Pakistan exporters competitive internationally. Since its launch, the response to EFS has been promising, and a steady number of exporters are shifting over to EFS from existing schemes such as manufacturing bond, DTRE, and export-oriented unit schemes. This progress has been made possible because customs teams across the country have reached out to different exporters associations in Karachi, Lahore, Faisalabad, Sialkot, and other parts of the country. Our teams listen to the irritants faced by the private sector and work alongside with them to resolve the issues. Another promising development is that the State Bank of Pakistan has proposed multiple changes to foreign exchange regulations to streamline export techniques and encourage diversification in the country's exports of goods and services, to assist exporters, particularly SMEs, to sell to customers worldwide through digital platforms, for instance, Amazon, eBay, etc. The State Bank of Pakistan launched a new framework for exports under the business-to-business and business-to-consumer mechanism. The State Bank also revised regulations to assist export of information and communication technology involving freelancers and to also assist startups in attracting foreign investment. As customs, we encourage the business community to take advantage of the export facilitation policies, particularly through the digital trade information portal developed by the Pakistan Single Window, which helps to increase the understanding and knowledge about import and export matters, rules and regulations, processes and mechanisms. Traders should take the benefit of VBOC or Pakistan Single Window for faster customs clearance. This system supports new entrants and SMEs due to its completely automated design, where users and regulators are integrated and connected through these systems. The focus of the EFS is on post-clearance compliance checks and audits so that exporters are not held up due to prior approvals and licenses, registrations, and authorizations. Alongside the EFS, there is a need to embark on short, medium, and long-term actions to increase exports with efforts to address the challenges highlighted by the traders and to organize seminars, webinars across the country to educate the business community about export facilitation scheme and ways of improving exports of Pakistan. So in the end, I would like to identify 3 objectives of current webinar. First of all, to create awareness about the export facilitation scheme, focusing on processes and regulations. Number 2, to inform the participants about the role of Pakistan Single Window in providing support for export facilitation scheme. And thirdly, to obtain feedback from the community, stakeholders, private sectors about any issues or additional features which are required for better utilization of EFS. Ladies and gentlemen, I am confident that today's webinar would be very useful to every participant, and it will also be another step forward in the successful rollout of the export facilitation scheme. Thank you very much for your time and patience in listening. Thank you, Jim.
Thank you, sir. It was an excellent start to this webinar, and I think the way you merged the concepts of EFS and PSW was very educating, and of course, this will eventually affect the cost of doing business. And of course, when we talk about automation, one of the things that we are sure of is the accountability aspect as well. So thank you very much, sir, for your initial remarks. And now we will start the panel discussion. So panel discussion has been designed in a way that all the panelists will be having 10 minutes at the start, and then 3 additional minutes for any future recommendations that they will like to give. And of course, our team is working to create a policy paper from each of these webinars that will be hosted with PSW. To start off, the usual format of the webinars at STPI is that we start off with the private sector, and then the academia and the development partners, CSOs, and eventually we go back to the government in order so that they can respond to the things that the private sector and the academia has come up with. So I'll start off with my very good friend, Mr. Wajid Iqbal Saab. He's the resident director of Amreli Steel and also a representative of the Large Steel Manufacturing Association, as well as other business associations, including the Islamabad Chamber. So over to you, Wajid Saab, and I will like you to focus on the question that how we can improve awareness among the business community about the importance of custom schemes as well as Pakistan single window in order to have fruit. And just one thought that I would like to, or one request that I would like to make to all the panelists is, let's keep a solution focus today rather than a problem focus. I think we have a good inventory of the problems, but I think let's focus on the solutions today. Over to you, Wajid Saab. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Aad Saab, and Assalamu alaikum, everybody. Hamid Shah Saab nazar aa rahe hain, sir. Assalamu alaikum. First of all, I would like to say that Pakistan Single Window Initiative is an excellent initiative. Few weeks back, I personally visited single window offices. I met with the CEO of this nice initiative, and I found, I think Mehtab Haider Saab, he continues. He's an excellent person, and I would say custom department ko I would like to congratulate for, producing such outstanding officers, I would say. Single window के बारे में हमारा we don't have much knowledge, और स्टील सेक्टर जो है अभी ज्यादा एक्सपोर्ट में तो नहीं है, लेकिन कुछ एक्सपोर्ट्स हो भी रही हैं. लेकिन ये जरूर है कि हम लॉन्ग स्टील सेक्टर में हम लोग बहुत कोशिश कर रहे हैं कि हम भी इसमें एक्सपोर्ट्स में भी जाएं. एंड आई एम श्योर कि सिंगल विंडो और भी जो FBR की तरफ से इनिशिएटिव लिए जा रहे हैं, आई एम श्योर दिस विल हेल्प, whether it's the steel sector या बाकी जितने जो sectors हैं जो कि export में already हैं, engaged हैं, it will further facilitate. आज साहब, मैं जो पहले हमारी schemes हैं उनके बारे में भी थोड़ा सा मैं comment करूँगा कि जो DTRE वगैरह जो पहले schemes थी उनके बारे में एक general there was a perception कि भाई हमारे जो experts थे कुछ जो वो ये कहते थे कि भाई अगर आप DTRE को यूज करें तो आपके जो बाहर के कंपेटिटर्स हैं या बाकी भी जो स्कीम्स हैं तो वो अपना मटेरियल सप्लाई करके पैसे भी ले लेंगे और हमारी अभी अप्रूवल भी यहाँ से नहीं होगी. ये एक जनरल परसेप्शन थी, लेकिन यकीनन FBR ने इसमें एफर्ट की है, एंड वी हैव एवरी रीजन टू बी वेरी ऑप्टिमिस्टिक. एंड स्पेशली सिंगल विंडो का जो इनिशिएटिव है वो बिल्कुल हेल्प करेगा. और इसमें देखें जो भी इंपोर्ट्स होती हैं उसमें कस्टम्स प्लेज अ वेरी वेरी क्रूशियल रोल. इनफैक्ट इंडस्ट्री के लिए कस्टम का रोल बहुत ही इम्पोर्टेंट है, और इससे चले एक एक्सपोर्टर्स को भी एक सपोर्ट मिलेगी, बट जो इम्पोर्ट्स आप जितने भी करते हैं उसमें टाइम रिडक्शन है, जो फैसिलिटेशन है, जो चीज़ें जो ऑलरेडी पहले एक मैनुअल तरीके से होती थी, अभी इट विल बी हैपनिंग थ्रू इलेक्ट्रॉनिक मीडियम। तो इट विल, वी आर होपिंग दैट इंशाल्लाह, जैसे कि इसकी एक सिंगल विंडो की एक स्पिरिट भी है, इट विल रिड्यूस द टाइम. So we hope all the best for this initiative, and we look forward to its success. Because past में हमने बचपन से सुन रहे हैं कि सिंगल विंडो, बहुत दफा ये चीज हमने सुनी है, तो one is little bit skeptic about जो भी हमारी स्कीम्स होती हैं, unless they prove successful. But अभी चूंकि इसमें हमारा एज ए कंट्री, मैं समझता हूँ कि अभी एक्सपोर्ट को बढ़ाए बगैर हमारा, आई मीन पाकिस्तान कैन नॉट मूव अहेड until and unless we encourage and increase our exports. तो उसके बगैर अभी तो मेरे ख्याल से हमारे पास we don't have any choice. और इसमें मैं ये भी कहूँगा कि जो बाकी सेक्टर्स हैं, यूजुअली हमारी जो डिपेंडेंस रही है वो चंद सेक्टर्स हैं, लाइक टेक्सटाइल है, लेदर है, या जो हमारे इस तरह के हैं. तो इसमें जो गवर्नमेंट की कुछ ये भी थोड़ी सी हमें सुनने में आ रहा है कि दे आर ट्राइंग, इस पे जरा अगर ज्यादा इस पे अगर तवज्जो दी जाए कि जस्ट लाइक स्टील सेक्टर ही आप ले लें, तो हमारे जो लोग हैं उनका ये ख्याल है कि जितनी गवर्नमेंट फॉर एग्जांपल टेक्सटाइल सेक्टर को मदद देती है लोन्स में, कम इंटरेस्ट के ऊपर, बिजली, पावर और इस तरह और भी कई जो है जो गवर्नमेंट कंसेशंस देती है, अगर वो आप स्टील सेक्टर को दें तो स्टील सेक्टर हैज ऑल द पोटेंशियल टू स्टार्ट एक्सपोर्ट टू आवर नेबरिंग कंट्रीज, इवन लॉन्ग स्टील सेक्टर जो कि बहुत ज्यादा वैल्यू एडेड नहीं है. तो ये हम इस पे वर्किंग भी कर रहे हैं. वी हैव एंगेज लीडिंग रिसर्च कंपनीज ऑफ पाकिस्तान टू डू रिसर्च वर्क फॉर अस, ताकि हम इसमें वी कैन एक्सप्लोर द पॉसिबिलिटी कि भाई अगर टर्की जो है विद 30 कंपनीज एंड प्रोड्यूसिंग 30 मिलियन प्लस टन्स ऑफ स्टील, if they can export to over 50-60 countries, so why can't Pakistan? तो इसमें हम भी अपना भी प्राइवेट सेक्टर जो है इट्स डूइंग सोल सर्चिंग, हम इसमें रिसर्च कर रहे हैं और इस पे हम भी एक्सप्लोर कर रहे हैं पॉसिबिलिटी टू आइडेंटिफाई कि व्हाट आर द प्रॉब्लम्स, कहाँ पे हमें रुकावट है, so that we can outreach to the government and to suggest कि भाई ये चीजें अगर आप करते हैं तो even steel can become an steel exporting sector. So मैं इसी पे आज साहब I'll sum up and further we'll join in the discussion.
Thank you, sir. It was an excellent initiative, and your thoughts about the product diversification of exports, I think this is very important. And I'll just like to add that I think we all need to come out of our comfort zone in order to get out of this economic crisis we are in. So in addition to the product diversification, we should also look for market diversification, because evidence suggests that most of the exporters are only working in areas in regions around the world where they are familiar with or comfortable in. So moving forward, I'd like to request Dr. Adil Nakhoda. He's an assistant professor at Institute of Business Administration, Karachi, and also he has worked very recently with SDPI on export competitiveness in some of the sectors. So over to you, Dr. Adil.
Okay, thank you. So before I begin, I would like to thank SDPI for the invitation to discuss such an important topic. So we often discuss tariff liberalization and removal of obstacles to trade, right? However, trade facilitation and digitalization of trade procedures and processes plays an important role to boost international trading activities. And it is very important to focus our discussions on this topic. So today I will be focusing on some of the benefits of the single window, laying out its objectives and the challenges of its implementation in Pakistan. So a successful implementation of the single window can have significant benefits. Is there any, all right, okay, sure, I'll continue. So significant benefits for multiple stakeholders across the economy. The government benefits as it not only increases the generation of tax revenue, but can also improve the allocation of scarce manpower within organizations, improving staff productivity as well as improving compliance with different trade measures and rules. The various stakeholders can benefit from faster clearance at the border, lower levels of bureaucratic interventions, as well as from more transparent custom facilitation. A single window has benefits for the whole economy as it reduces the need for physical intervention between the government and the traders while providing better and up-to-date statistics on trading patterns to policymakers. So in essence, a single window not only has the potential of providing economic benefits, but has greater returns from every dollar spent on trade and custom facilities relative to the traditional paper-based methods. So according to the Asia Pacific Trade Facilitation Report 2021, full implementation of trade facilitation and paperless trading facilities, which includes the single window, can reduce trade costs by more than 13% across the Asia Pacific region. Further, the implementation of the single window systems can improve the participation of small and medium enterprises, as well as aid easier access to trade finance facilities for newer and potential exporters. For instance, it is known to benefit smaller businesses in the agricultural sector as they can more easily comply with regulatory obligations that are not only burdensome, but increase the challenges in exporting as SME businesses may lack crucial information on several measures. So one of the most important objectives of the Pakistan single window is to reduce the cost and time of doing cross-border business in Pakistan by digitalizing the paperwork associated with trade procedures and processes, as well as eliminating the burdensome documentation that may severely constrain traders. So Pakistan performs poorly in terms of digital and sustainable trade facilitation as reported by United Nations ESCAP. So according to the results reported for the survey on digital and sustainable trade facilitation conducted in 2021, Pakistan reported about 58.06% with cross-border paperless trade receiving 22.22%. India scored more than 90% overall, while Bangladesh scored 64.5% and Turkey scored 86%. So comparatively, Pakistan has scored much lower than these countries. Although Pakistan does relatively well in terms of the institutional arrangements and cooperation, as it has fully implemented the requirement of a National Trade Facilitation Committee, it does poorly in terms of implementation of measures to encourage cross-border paperless trade. Till 2021, Pakistan did not have an electronic issuance of various certificates, reported a lack of recognized certification authorities, and did not have paperless collection of payments associated with documentary letter of credits. Other constraints included a lack of electronic issuance of SPS certificates, as well as single window operations to facilitate trade finance. In addition, the mutual recognition agreements that can facilitate trade and reduce non-tariff barriers between Pakistan and its major trading partners is lacking, which results in delays at the border. Further, there's little planning in terms of facilitation of trade during a crisis, as we witnessed during COVID-19. Such challenges can be alleviated through a single window. Pakistan's single window provides an opportunity to not only digitalize trade facilitation, but also increase exports from Pakistan, which should be a topmost priority of policymakers working on trade-related issues. Some of the most important features of the single window is to provide a platform that involves single entry of data or a one-stop shop, standardized set of documents, and sharing of data not only across different agencies within a country, but also potentially to counterparties across different countries. Now, according to a study by United Nations ESCAP on the best practices of single window implementation, the economic benefits from the implementation of the single window in South Korea was approximately $3 billion. I believe South Korea was an important case for Pakistani policymakers when they wanted to implement the single window. So it not only reduced warehouse and storage costs, but also entailed other benefits such as a reduction in redundant IT investments. According to another study by the United Nations ESCAP, improved trade facilitation measures can increase tax revenue up to $180 billion in the Asia Pacific region, as it aids in stemming trade misinvoicing. In essence, the implementation of measures to improve digitalization of trade facilitation in the home and partner countries that reduces trade misinvoicing has a significant impact on tax revenue generation. A recent study by SDPI on the experience of micro, small, and medium-sized enterprises in Pakistan during the pandemic crisis highlights some of the challenges faced by firms on cross-border trade-related issues. Many MSMEs faced significant costs from disruptions during the pandemic, with firms in Sindh reporting an average of more than 2.4 million rupees. The biggest obstacles reported by traders was the cost of logistics and the timeliness of shipment. Further, the report notes that the younger firms rather than older firms were more exposed to the changes in the cost of logistics during the pandemic, suggesting the immense challenges faced by the MSME sector. In addition, the study also reports the obstacles faced by MSMEs due to trade documentation. Firms find it a challenge to deal with regulatory certifications, certificate of origin, invoices, and letter of credit. The implementation of an effective single window can help alleviate such a challenge, as one-stop shop can provide opportunities for MSMEs. The report recommends that the government reduce the burdensome requirements in trade documentation and facilitate the participation of firms in international trading activities. The implementation of Pakistan's single window provides such an opportunity for the smaller firms. Lastly, it is imperative to mention that a trade information portal that provides real-time, up-to-date information on different trade processes and their timelines can significantly benefit the stakeholders. Several low-income developing countries in Africa and Central Asia have already developed such portals with the help of different multilateral organizations that have proven to be an excellent source, particularly for smaller businesses who otherwise face significant information asymmetries. An effective trade information portal can complement the single window by containing information on government agencies related to international trade, listing procedures associated with regulatory obligations, and providing up-to-date trade statistics to develop a better understanding of potential markets. So with that, I would like to end my talk, and thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Adil. I think it was really helpful. And I think the way you explained the trade facilitation, as well as the importance of data and the trade information portal that is also a part of Pakistan single window is really appreciated. And of course, the ASCAP study that you mentioned, that formed basis for the basic design of Pakistan single window. And we are also seeking guidance in developing the awareness campaign as well. The major target that STPI and PSW has set for itself for the next year is that we should come up with the data being converted into a knowledge product. Of course, we try to develop it automatically, but also some knowledge product that can help researchers like yourself to have access to better data, as we have discussed, I think, several times before as well. So moving on, we have Ayman Zulfikar, who is a research assistant at STPI. We recently, she wrote an article on the New Year's with regards to the trade policy for 2023. So of course, we are discussing a lot of the government interventions that are required for trade facilitation, and like Wajid Saab mentioned, that I think it has to be a two-way traffic. The private sector has to work together with the government on this. So I'll request Ayman for her remarks, mainly focused on what the private sector can do as well as the government can do in 2023 to avoid this economic crisis. Over to you, Ayman.
Thank you, sir. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. I am Ayman Zulfikar, project associate from STPI, Sustainable Development Policy Institute. And today, I'd like to add, first of all, I just want to discuss about overall trade challenges that Pakistan is facing right now. As trade is the backbone of the world economies, and it is responsible.
Ayman, I think you're on mute.
Sorry, I was on mute. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. I am Ayman Zulfikar from Sustainable Development Policy Institute. I would like to firstly discuss about the trade ecosystem of Pakistan. As we all know that trade forms the backbone of the economies, and it generally helps to stimulate the investment, job creation, and economic growth, and improve the standards of living. In 2022, as we are all facing the problem such as the high inflation, and due to the Russia-Ukraine war, the inflation is increased, and Pakistan is facing a lot of challenges because of it. And the export performance of Pakistan has been decreased over the last two decades, and Pakistan's share in overall trade is reduced from 0.15% in 2005 to 0.12% in 2021. But as compared to our peers such as China, which have doubled, and Vietnam have tripled its share in the same time period. As Sir Adil has said, we are lagging behind as compared to our peers. So what we need to do, we just need to do, as Sir Ahad points out, that we need to do the diversification of exports, as well as we need to diversify our markets. As we are exporting most of our textile products to the countries that are European Union and Germany, but they are facing the recession right now, and due to their recession, their purchasing power will decrease. So I think we are not able they are not able to get that textile products from us, and I think this would cause a bad effect on our products, and we are not able to export those products to those countries. I think this is the point where we need to focus on our products, products, and as well as our markets, that we need to target other regions such as Middle East and other countries. Other than that, as flood situation, we all have seen that Pakistan faced the devastating flood situation in Pakistan in 2022, and agriculture products has been badly affected. So most of the products that we are exporting, products that we are exporting now, we have to import from other countries. So in these challenges, by keeping in these challenges, and other than that, over the years, the world has been witnessed a significant performance of cross-border production networks known as global value chains. Contribution to these networks have improved the economic growth of many developing countries, especially in Asia. Pakistan is still one of the few comparatively large and diverse economies whose participation in international trade and hence in global value chains has remained lower. The key to increase global value chain is again the diversification. I think Pakistan now coming towards on the importance of Pakistan single window. I think it provides a great opportunity and it will increase the exports and overall trade ecosystem of Pakistan, as it will provide the ease in the cross-border trade, especially in the products that are agricultural products, are perishable commodities spoiled due to the long banking system and clearance that needs a lot of time. So I think a Pakistan single window will help to reduce that time and cost. Other than that, especially their new initiative, our new program, or that is Khatija program, will be very helpful for the women entrepreneurs, and they will increase the growth and development of overall country, and Pakistan Singles Window initiative will definitely help women and overall the growth of Pakistan. So this is from all my side. Thank you all.
Thank you, Ayman. I think your points about being more inclusive and the way climate change has had an impact on our cross-border trade are very important. And again, I think reiterating the need for product and market diversification is also well noted. So just moving forward, I will now request Mr. Salman Afzal. He is domain officer at Pakistan Single Window. He is an officer with the Pakistan Customs and has served as Deputy Director of Intelligence and Investigation Customs before joining in as domain officer at the Pakistan Single Window. So over to you, Salman Sir.
Thank you very much, Adsab. I thank you all for joining the session, and I thank SDPI for providing the opportunity. I will be focusing more on the export facilitation scheme and also on Pakistan Single Window, how they both blend in. So first of all, giving a bit of the background of the export facilitation scheme, when in 2021 FPR started working on it. And I think I must give credit to the management, especially Ahmed Saab, who was heading that team, that it is one of those occasions where FBR was ahead of the curve. In 2023, when we are talking about necessity of increasing exports and diversification of exports, at that time FBR was ahead of the curve, and FBR was thinking on these lines that we should do this. And when we did that environmental scanning of the export schemes available at that time, we found out that there are three major schemes: the manufacturing bond scheme, the DTRE scheme, and the export-oriented scheme, export-oriented unit schemes. All schemes had different parameters, different entry requirements, different set of rules, different definitions. So there was this feeling that, and the data also suggested that the small and medium exporters are not utilizing the scheme. The schemes are being utilized by major exporters, 100 million plus, $100 million plus exporters, and SMEs were not utilizing it. So we delved into it to find out the reasons that why it is being done, and we found out that one of the reasons is that the traders are unable to identify which scheme is suitable for them. When you have a plethora of schemes, so the traders get to this in confusion that whether they should go for export-oriented unit scheme or DTRE scheme or manufacturing bond unit schemes. So we thought of this plan that if we get best of every scheme into one single document, one single policy document, this will be beneficial for everyone, and especially for the small and medium exporters. This will also simplify the scheme, simplify the entry requirements, and it will also be able, we will also be able to be in a position to create awareness about the scheme, because we will have a single unified scheme. So we started off from this point of view that our main target is the small and medium exporters. We also realized that the large exporters that we have, they are almost maximize their potential for export. And the maximum potential to export enhancement in Pakistan is with the MSMEs and SMEs. And those are the sectors that we are not targeting. So we also got into the stakeholder consultations before launching of this scheme. And I think this scheme will be one of those where the maximum stakeholder consultation was held by different chambers, trade associations, exporter associations, even walk-in clients were given audiences for this, and their viewpoints were incorporated into the scheme. So this is one of those schemes which is data-driven, which is based on stakeholder input, and the input from the stakeholders. And before going the scheme, it was published by the FBR for the final input by the traders, and after that it was put into action. Even then, FBR did not want it to be a knee-jerk reaction and to curse the traders that they have to abandon the export scheme that they are using. We wanted it to be a voluntary joining scheme. So we provided for a period of 2 years where the traders could see how the scheme rolls out, what are its benefits, to see the traders who join it and what benefits they get, so that they can emulate their success, and their success stories will bring in more voluntary joining. So this was the main mindset behind this scheme. We also did an environmental scan of India and Bangladesh and that what they were doing and how we can use their experience in our scheme. So when this scheme was designed, the principles behind it were simplification, increasing the accessibility of SMEs, and increasing the predictability and reducing cost of export for the businesses. So what we did was we introduced a the most broadest of the definition of the input goods. We studied all three schemes and designed a definition of input goods where that was based upon the that encompassed all input goods that were covered under all three schemes. So now the input goods that are admissible under this export facilitation scheme is the broadest of the definition that customs has ever used for input goods for the exporters. Then we went into next step that how can we reduce the cost of the traders, and we found out that one of the major costs that the traders were incurring was in the form of the bank guarantees and securities that they were depositing for the input goods that they were importing. So we tried to incorporate a risk-based system where we divided the exporters into categories based on their experience of export. Those with 3 years and plus export were given the least risk factors, and the new entrants were considered as the risky exporters that we have to watch closely. So for those who had experience of more than 3 years, we provided that they can get an import authorization of their input goods for a maximum period of 5 years simultaneously. So this increases their predictability. Previously, they were giving bank guarantees. We changed it with indemnity bond and post-dated check. So now no capital of the trader was to be blocked in the form of bank guarantees that allowed them the cash flow balances. Then the next problem that we thought would comes up as Wajid Sahab said that the time for export comes and approvals are not there. So in this scheme, we have incorporated an inbuilt time period that where the regulatory collector has to provide the authorization, and that is 30 days. If within the 30 days the regulatory collector and the IOCO does not complete their task, the system will provisionally allow 100% import of input goods that has been requested by the trader provisionally. And once the task is completed, that can be adjusted. So the point that Wajid Sahab had made that the timelines are not met or the bureaucracy is lethargic and customs is lethargic at times, not taking it seriously. So that point has been specifically focused in this here and that. And the other point was how to reduce the regulation in this. We didn't want too much regulation on it. Export is one of our most focused sector, and we wanted to have more liberty, more facility, more freedoms, and more flexibility in exporting. So while we allowed it to import goods for a period of 5 years, we also allowed it a period of 5 years, which was under maximum of 2 years before. In the previous schemes, we enhanced it to 5 years to export those input goods. So now that period, they can have this retention period has been increased, the authorization period has been increased, which we thought will increase the ability of the trader to have more predictability, more predictable export schedules, enter into contracts with the better understanding that what benefits they do have and how they can do that. So the criteria for entry is again we have tried to cover all formats of criteria for it. The export performance for last 2 financial years that automatically eligible makes it the trader eligible to apply for the scheme. Then we also entered into it that if you have firm contract for export, you can get the benefit of the scheme based on that. I just like that a walk-in customer walked in and said that we have this phenomena where we get orders in very short time and there is no time for us to get approvals, and the goods are input goods are brought in from here. So we also incorporated it in that where the contract for export is time period is so short that goods are being airlifted, we have dispensed away with the requirements of the regulatory collector, and that all has been done post facto now. The authorization is granted immediately to import the goods and for the export of the goods, and the authorization and the input output function is now done post facto for that specific scenario. So this is how the scheme operates. It uses risk parameters. It increases the utilization period. It has eliminated the bank guarantees that were involved in the input goods. It allows all formats of traders like manufacturer come exporters, indirect exporters, vendors, commercial exporters, and toll manufacturing was a new scheme that was added to it, as Mr. Mukaran informed. That has also been added to it, which is a new business line. This scheme also brought in a new business line of common bonded warehouses, where a bonded warehouse can bring in goods in the name and sell it to exporters free of any duty and taxes, so that the exporters don't have to go into this process of opening LCs and getting into import or the raw materials. They can acquire the goods from the common bonded warehouse to the export and get the benefit as much as possible. The whole idea behind this scheme again was trade facilitation. And trade facilitation again is a double-edged sword. With facility comes responsibility. And speaking from customs point of view, I will say that the scheme has been designed in a most flexible manner, and it depends upon the traders now that how well they use it. The more cases of misappropriation of the scheme come in, the tighter the scheme will become. And those few of the miscreants will make it difficult for others to take benefit of it. So we will request everyone to go through the scheme. We will request everyone to read the scheme and to give us your feedback. It is a continuously evolving process. Nothing is perfect. FBR is ready to listen to traders' demand on this. Exports nowadays is the buzzword. Anything the exporters demand will be granted by the government and the FBR and will be there. So how does PSW fit in? This whole scheme was designed with the facilitation process, and the scheme has been designed through digitalization of this process, from submission of the application to approval of the application, and for record keeping the reconciliation statements that are being provided in, that has been digitalized, visualized to be digitalized in the scheme. PSW has become associated with the VBOK development team in developing of the module for this EFS. We are now constantly engaging with them so that we can develop this module as fast as possible and in as true sense as the scheme envisages the module should be, so that the trader can take the maximum benefit out of it. PSW will also be able, we is also collaborating with Ministry of Commerce for developing, for associating the benefits that have been provided to the traders. And once we are done that, the exporter will get to avail all the facilities from Ministry of Commerce as well as from customs through using PSW. Similarly, we are also bringing in the insurance agencies on board with us, and once they are on board to us, then this insurance guarantees and these securities that will also be done digitally. So all these works when this automation process by the PSW, which is not very far away from completion, is done, we will provide a single window solution for the exporters to use facilities from insurance agencies, from FBR, from customs, through using PSW platform. So this is where the PSW comes in, and the back end of the scheme is from customs, but we will be implementing it. We will be providing the traders with the facility to lodge their applications, to receive and communicate with customs, to communicate with the Ministry of Commerce. And we do hope that we will be able to reduce the cost and time, and especially target the SMEs. If SMEs come in, that will be the success, and that will be the point that we will declare that this scheme has been successful. So this is from my side. I'm open to questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sulman Saab. I think it was an excellent intervention. I think the main difference of several of the previous single windows that Wajid Saab mentioned as well is the customer experience, is the user experience, and inclusivity that is brought in by the Pakistan single window. And of course, we can simulate and see for ourselves the reduction in time and cost through this trade facilitations venture that the Pakistani government has taken. And of course, your interventions regarding the deregulation of exporters, I think that is something that we really look forward to. So I think we can have another round of interventions by the panelists. Just to inform you that we were supposed to be joined by Dr. Amjad Bashir, who is a senior economist at International Finance Corporation, who is looking at the Pakistan Regulatory Modernization Initiative from the World Bank side, but due to an urgent meeting that was called, he could not join. So I'll move back to Wajid Saab. Sir, if you have any further interventions.
Sure, Ahad Saab. मैं ये कहना चाहूँगा कि बहुत it's a very good idea to encourage trade and export and to facilitate the exporters. Excellent idea. But I would like to add to this that we also need to encourage the people who are producing, the industry. If we can produce more, we will be able to export more. The problem is that, I mean, Pakistan में जो एक overall ecosystem of industry and business को हमें improve करने की जरूरत है. इस वक्त situation ये है कि आप देखिए छोटी छोटी problems भी होती हैं industry की, उनमें resolve करने में बहुत ज़्यादा time लगता है. I am working with government departments, FBR, Ministry of Commerce, and all these departments. My perception is कि कोई भी problem, कोई भी issue जिसको आप 1-2 दिनों में resolve कर सकते हैं, it takes weeks and months, and sometime it remains unresolved. इस पे बहुत ज़्यादा हमें साहब focus करने की ज़रूरत है. एक helpful attitudes हमें build करने की ज़रूरत है, जिसमें industry के लोग जब government के पास जाते हैं, they may not be able to resolve each and every issue, but a very helpful attitude will help us to build a better atmosphere for producing more and for exporting more. एक और comment में एक broad comment है, मैं वो भी करना चाहूँगा, maybe little आप agree करें या disagree करें. पाकिस्तान में 2 तरह की industries हैं. एक industries वो हैं, industrial sectors हैं जिनको हम कहते हैं privileged and powerful, and the rest. पाकिस्तान में privileged and powerful can get anything done. हमें इस चीज को break करने की जरूरत है. जो rest में आते हैं, even मैं ये कहता हूँ steel is among the rest. आप सबको facilitate करें. पाकिस्तान में जो thrive कर रहे हैं वो government की support लेते हैं. बड़े जो sectors हैं, exporters हैं, textile को आप ले लें. जैसे मैंने पहले अर्ज किया है कि आप जो फैसिलिटी जो कंसेशंस गवर्नमेंट के टेक्सटाइल को दे रही है, हमारी रिसर्च एक आ जाएगी 15 जनवरी तक. वी विल शेयर विद ऑल ऑफ यू कि अगर वो स्टील को देते हैं, विच इज नॉट अ हाईली वैल्यू एडेड प्रोडक्ट, लॉन्ग स्टील सेक्टर जो है, इट्स जस्ट लिटिल बिट वैल्यू आई वुड से एडेड है, ये भी आप एक्सपोर्ट कर सकते हैं. ठीक है, अगर वही फैसिलिटी जो टेक्सटाइल. तो इसमें ये डिफरेंस हमें खत्म करने की जरूरत है. the powerful privileged sectors and the rest, सबको हमें, जैसे कि आप small and medium पे सलमान साहब ने बताया आप फोकस कर रहे हैं, तो अब steel is not small but still जितना it's the backbone of the economy, but my perception is that it's an ignored sector. It needs to get more importance from the government. तो इस सेक्टर को हामिद साहब आप भी और अंसारी साहब भी सुन रहे हैं, इस पे हमें फोकस करने की जरूरत है कि भाई सिर्फ पावरफुल को नहीं कि वो सारी सब्सिडीज ले लें, बल्कि माय परसेप्शन इज कि ये जो रेस्ट हम कहते हैं, दे सब्सिडाइज द पावरफुल्स, दे आर सब्सिडाइजिंग द पावरफुल्स. वी नीड टू स्टॉप इट इफ पाकिस्तान हैज टू मूव फॉरवर्ड. थैंक यू वेरी मच सर.
Thank you, Wajid Saab. Dr. Adil, if you'd like to.
Sure. Thank you. So I would like to add to my point, which I had brought about for the trade information portal and all that. So I think Wajid Saab has raised very important points, right? Now, I'll just extend that discussion. So one of the biggest challenges, I think, the private sector, any businesses, particularly the small businesses, is the lack of information in doing business, right? Unka kya hai sabse. So my own experience dealing with a lot of small businesses, when I talk to them, they say, okay, we don't have any information on any policies. We sell our goods abroad. What happens is when we send our goods, we don't know what's going to happen in the port here in Pakistan, and we don't know what is going to happen in the ports abroad. Right, so we have this very little information, and then we don't know who to approach. So your small businesses have potential. They have these large ideas, right, that they want to export. But the biggest challenge, the first challenge they face is the lack of information. And so this is where Pakistan Single Window, this is where government's information portals, right, this National Information Portal or Trade Information Portal, it play a big role to alleviate these concerns, to reduce these issues that they face, the information asymmetries that small businesses face. So what the idea is that Pakistan Single Window now, there is a grand whole of thing, right? The whole agenda is to make it a one-stop shop, right? So if an exporter basically says, I have this product and I want to go and export, what do I do? What is the thing? What documents do I submit? Which government agencies do I need to contact? Everything should be there, but it should be easy to get, right? The information should be very easy to obtain. So information asymmetries, as I've said, that the trade costs, right? The trade costs are high because there is a lot of delay in the procedures and processes, and that is likely due to because of the lack of information. Now, again, the second thing, again, we talk about all this tariff liberalization and all that, but what we need is ensuring that businesses are better integrated into the networks, right? Creating export networks. And export networks are likely to be created when we have these trade associations work effectively, when the government works effectively to ensure. Now, another challenge that we have again is that during a crisis, we had the pandemic crisis, now we have this balance of payment crisis. Unfortunately, Pakistan faces a lot balance of payment crisis every 3 years. The question that the government should ask is, what should we do to make sure that the businesses, that especially our exporters, are least affected by these crises? So what do we face right now are import restrictions. What are exporters talking about? They are saying that we cannot buy raw materials, we cannot buy all these. So what happens then, right? So that's one point. All this national single window, the effectiveness, developing trade linkages is very important. And with that, when we have strong trade linkages, I think the crisis, the balance of payment crisis will reduce because we will become more effective, more efficient in our production. And so that's the two main points, right, that I would like to bring up here. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Adil. I think these are very well taken. I'll like to move over to Eamon, if you like to add something.
I just wanted to add one more point, as Khatija program is a very good initiative from PSW. I think there are so many women entrepreneurs who want to grow, and their products are so good that they must be reached at the international level. For example, recently we have go for the documentary at Ahmedabad, and the women, she's an entrepreneur and she sells very good bags at international level. So she used to say that there are many more women are present in Ahmedabad, and they produce very good type of products related to bags and other products as well. So they need support, and they need policy support and other support so that their products reach at regional level and at international markets. I think PSW needs to help those women, and their Khatija program should support those women so that our exports of our women products need to go at the international level. Thank you. That is my point.
Thank you. And based on one of the questions that came up in the Q&A tab, Khadija program is an initiative by the Pakistan Single Window, where they're trying to build the capacity of women entrepreneurs in Pakistan with regards to cross-border trade. One workshop, the first one has been conducted in Karachi, but we will, I think, the team will be coming over to other regions in Pakistan in the coming time. Salman Saab, if you will like to respond to some of the questions that have popped up in the Q&A chat box, I'll just like to go into one of them, which of course might be maybe more related to the MRAs and how can there be a roadmap? What are the timelines for increasing the market access to MENA, ASEAN, and RCEP? And how is private sector engaged with the Pakistan Single Window? I'll just like to add here that the Pakistan Single Window is based on, they have a private sector advisory council as well, which will be guiding the governing council of Pakistan Single Window. So that is one of the things that are of course being included in 2023 agenda. But if you'd like to respond kindly, over to Salman Saab.
Thank you, Asaf. First of all, I would like to thank Madam Ayman and Dr. Adil for their kind words, especially about the Trade Information Portal. Yes, we are working hard on the Trade Information Portal to keep it up to date and provide the latest information to the traders. And again, on that side, our focus is on small and medium traders, that they should be able to get the information in real-time basis. Women as well, we all know that somehow they are underrepresented at different trade forums, and the Khadija program is an effort to provide them with an exclusive opportunity so that their voice can be heard, their issues can be addressed, and we are working on it, that how we can expand it to other cities. Regarding the MRAs, yes, that is done by the FBR and Ministry of Commerce. The number of MRAs over the years have increased. Market access again is being increasing. What Pakistan Single Window is doing is providing the digital edge to it. That when an MRA is done by the government of Pakistan and Pakistan Single Window is trusted with it, we provide the technology for the electronic data interchange of the MRAs and both to and fro communication on that. China, we already have signed an agreement and we are working with China on this, that how we can exchange information with them. Regarding the second question about role of the private sector in the Pakistan Single Window, I think yes, Pakistan Single Window is owned by the federal government, but where we place ourselves and where we see ourselves, see ourselves as the representative of the private sector on that high table. Private sector is part and parcel of Pakistan Single Window. It is represented in the governing council of the Pakistan Single Window. We have private sector members there. So at the apex body, which controls the operations of the Pakistan Single Window, private sector is present. In our board of directors, we have representative from FPCCI, we have representative from other private sectors. So for every decision that Pakistan Single Window makes, private sector is onboarded before the decision is taken. And we get the approval from our stakeholders and then we go into it. We don't believe that we can browbeat the private sector in doing anything, or we can force them or coerce them into that. We believe in a consultative process. We believe in inclusive trade processes, and private sector is part and parcel of Pakistan Single Window decision-making process. And no decision has been taken so far, to my knowledge, in which private sector was not involved or not engaged. So, and again, we have our social media outreach programs from Facebook to Twitter to YouTube. where individual traders can also engage with us and we respond to them. We respond to their issues, we listen to them, we are open to feedback, positive, negative, we are open to criticism, whatever it is. We are here to serve and not to establish any authority or establish any other thing. The whole purpose is that we have to serve the trade, and if it becomes better, then only we can say that PSW has been a successful experiment. Otherwise, there will be just one of another enterprise that the government undertakes. So that's from my side.
Thank you, Salman Saab. I think you've answered all the questions in a very succinct manner. Two people from the audience will like to speak, but I think I'll request both of them to keep their interventions very short. I'll start off with Shabir Kazmi Saab. Shabir Saab, you're on mute.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
अच्छा जी, मेरी बिल्कुल दो ऑब्जर्वेशन है जो चीज बड़ी स्पेसिफिक कहूँगा कि वी आर मूविंग वेरी फास्ट ऑन इलेक्ट्रॉनिक systems, but we are very poor still in logistics. I'm just referring to one example of a turnaround time at Karachi port. Around the world, it is around 3 hours or 4 hours. But in Pakistan and on certain days, it takes up to 7 days. Especially, this must be of some interest to Mr. Salman. If around the world it takes 3 hours, why it takes 7 hours? And even if you do everything in the best manner, when the physical conditions are not supporting, the issue becomes problematic. Second, this morning I read another news which also must be of interest to those people who are handling the logistics. Arrival of fertilizer at Gwadar. From Gwadar, when we take fertilizer to upcountry, the road conditions are pathetic, and especially there is one culvert where the long trailers cannot take fertilizer upcountry. So the physical handling, my basic intention is that electronically you are moving very fast, but physical conditions are not supporting very well. Thank you.
Thank you, Shabir Saab. I'll just take one more comment and then maybe you can respond. So Aisha Khurram Sahiba.
Ji, thank you, dear fellows. Assalamu alaikum. My name is Aisha Khurram. I'm the VP of WCCI, Women Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Lahore Division. First of all, I would like to say that our session should be in Urdu as well, because it is quite grasping. So my points will be bilingual. Our export starts from exhibition, dear fellows. अगर हम देखें, हमारी export सबसे पहले exhibition से तब start होती है जब हम बाहर चीजें लेके जाते हैं अपने लोगों को, दूसरे लोगों को दिखाने के लिए. अगर हमें वहीं से hurdle start हो जाए तो हम कैसे अपनी चीजों को carry on कर सकते हैं, जो उसको move forward कर सकते हैं. Luckily, I belong to a privileged family, and once I exhibited my things in Turkey. WCCI की तरफ से ही मैं गई थी, वहां पे टुमसियाट की एग्जीबिशन थी, लेकिन मुझे मेरी टिकट से ज्यादा मुझे फ्रेट पड़ गया था, बिकॉज व्हाट आई डू इज हम लोग फैमिली बिजनेस है हमारा, पॉलीकॉन प्राइवेट पाकिस्तान लिमिटेड के नाम से, प्लस इंटरनेशनल आई एम द एग्जीक्यूटिव डायरेक्टर ऑफ दैट कंपनी, एंड फेब्रीना होम टेक्सटाइल इन इंडस्ट्रीज. अब दोनों चीजें ऐसी हैं जिसका के बल्क है. जब मुझे वहीं से मुझे फैसिलिटेशन नहीं होगी बाय द गवर्नमेंट ऑफ पाकिस्तान, तो मैं कैसे अपनी चीजें बाहर लेके जाऊंगी. अब सेकेंड एग्जीबिशन आ रही है श्रीलंका की नेक्स्ट मंथ, आप सब अवेयर होंगे उस चीज से, लेकिन जब हमें फैसिलिटेशन ही नहीं, आई एम रियली हेसिटेंट टू टेक पार्ट इन दैट एग्जीबिशन एज वेल. सो प्लीज काइंडली माय डियर फेलोज, आप लोग अगर इस पे भी थोड़ी सी तवज्जो दें कि अगर हम अपनी एग्जीबिशंस में अगर हमें थोड़ी सी फ्रेट फॉरवर्डिंग में हमें उसमें कंसेशन मिल जाए, तो हमारी डे 1 से हमारी एक्सपोर्ट्स का जो लेवल है ना, वो अपग्रेड होना शुरू हो जाएगा. थैंक यू सो मच. इन सलमान साहब, अगर आप अपना माइक थोड़ा सा करीब कर लें, बिकॉज आई थिंक यू आर टॉकिंग फ्रॉम अ डिस्टेंस, तो आपकी आवाज ज्यादा क्लैरिटी से नहीं आ रही, तो could you please do that?
Sure.
Yes, sure. जी बिल्कुल मैं कर लेता हूँ.
Thank you. So Salman Sahab, if you can respond first, and then we can move on to Hamid Ali Sahab.
जी बिल्कुल. शबीर साहब ने जहाँ पे लॉजिस्टिक्स की बात की तो मतलब I can tell him that Pakistan single window is already onto it. हम एक पोर्ट कम्युनिटी सिस्टम डेवलप कर रहे हैं जिसके अंदर लॉजिस्टिक्स विल बी मेजर कंपोनेंट ऑफ इट. इसके अलावा टर्मिनल ऑपरेटर्स, शिपिंग लाइंस, सारे जो उसके पोर्ट के स्टेक होल्डर्स हैं तो वो उसमें आ रहे हैं. पोर्ट कम्युनिटी सिस्टम का एंटायर पर्पस यही है कि पोर्ट का टर्न अराउंड टाइम रिड्यूस किया जाए. सो होपफुली बाय द एंड ऑफ 2023 शबीर साहब का ये गिला दूर हो गया होगा. हम इस में अगर इंटरनेशनल बेंचमार्क से आगे ना गए तो एटलीस्ट एट पार जरूर होंगे. दिस इज आवर ड्रीम एंड आवर होप एंड इंशाल्लाह उस पे हम जा रहे होंगे. जो मैडम आयशा ने पॉइंट रेज किया रिगार्डिंग एग्जीबिशंस, वो उसके ऊपर आई थिंक टीडैप इज द राइट अथॉरिटी. उनका कंसर्न मैं टीडैप तक भी पहुंचा दूंगा. हामिद साहब इज आल्सो लिसनिंग. हामिद साहब कैन रिस्पॉन्ड टू इट इफ ही वांट्स. अदरवाइज जो टीडैप है वहां तक उनका कंसर्न्स हम जरूर एड्रेस कर देंगे. बट जो फ्रेट फॉरवर्डर और बिजनेस का डील है, दैट इज अ बिजनेस टू बिजनेस डील. तो उसके अंदर गवर्नमेंट उसको शायद रेगुलेट उस तरह से ना कर सके जिस तरह से मैडम चाह रही है. बट इफ एनीथिंग कैन बी डन, आई थिंक टीडैप इज द राइट फोरम और हम उनको उस पे कर लेंगे.
Thank you, Salman Sahab. So probably we can move on to Sayyid Hamid Ali Sahab, who is Additional Secretary, Trade Diplomacy, Ministry of Commerce. And I think, sir, you have come online at a very, very opportune time, because I think you're the best suited to answer Ms. Aisha's concerns. So I'll hand over to Sayyid Hamid Ali Sahab and to give his closing remarks and maybe give us the other side of the story. Thank you, sir.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum, dear colleagues from Customs, from PSW, colleagues from the private sector, from academia, and of course from SDPI, who are the co-host for today's webinar. I'm very delighted to be a part of this discussion, as I was very deeply involved with the scheme that was conceived way back in early 2021. When Salman was working with me, I was then a member of Customs Policy. And a few benchmarks that we set for ourselves. Some of Salman has already deliberated on. Some others I would like to mention again. Number one was, of course, reduction in the number of documents that the trader has to submit. A drastic reduction in the number of documents. Number two, those who are compliant traders, they need to be treated differently from non-compliant traders. That was a basic fundamental principle. Number three, SMEs who don't figure in our existing export regime need to be incentivized upfront. So another fundamental principle. Number four, we need to go towards a scheme where we don't require traders to pay upfront, so that they are not coming after us to pay them later on in terms of drawbacks or in terms of refunds of sales tax or excise or so on and so forth. So in order to increase their, ease out their liquidity problems. And last but not the least, create innovative ways to develop our export ecosystem. And just to highlight why we went for these, this last one was very important. In fact, in the last couple of days before the budget, a few exporters reached out to us. I specifically remember one was from Sialkot, and he specifically requested that he wanted to meet me urgently on the last day before the budget. And I said, you're always welcome, come in. He came and he said, can you kindly provide us this facility that if we have to bring in our inputs by air, and we are supposed to convert those inputs to outputs within a 30-day time period, and we also export by air, we don't go through any formal approval. I said, done, no issues. So we created that facility for a very specialized set of exporters who bring in their inputs by air and export their goods by air for very special kind of clients. So we said, no, nothing doing, we will do that. Then there was a specific request from APTMA and our colleagues, dear colleagues from the textile sector, that kindly allow us that we can easily transition from our existing schemes to the new scheme by allowing us that whatever raw material is in our warehouses, we easily transfer them to the new scheme. I said, done, no issues. We will audit it later, but we allow you this upfront facility. So these are two prime examples where customers were so forthcoming in terms of creating innovative solutions to ease out the various problems faced by the exporters. And I'm very happy that we have been able to now convince a lot of exporters to come onto this scheme, and we are fastly approaching the deadline, which is 30th June 2023. This was just to highlight what was this scheme, and happily PSW has come on board, and now they are developing the, although it's a very difficult module, but I'm happy that they are developing the module. And an essential part of this module is going to be a lot of data for researchers. So the reconciliation within the scheme has to be done by the system itself, not by the exporters. The system will crunch the data and compile various management reports for consideration of various approving authorities. So this is inbuilt within the system, and that will enable a lot of data for our researchers like Dr. Adil Nakhoda, who's sitting with us, and also our colleagues from STPI. And then they can compare the efficacy of this system vis-a-vis the earlier systems and with other systems probably within the region, and maybe give us more recommendations for improvements in the system. So this was a little bit of feedback on what was the idea behind this EFS system. Now I would like to address some of the common themes that have come out of today's discussion. So I would try to sum up what the Ministry of Commerce is trying to do on those schemes. So I would address the last issue upfront. Aisha raised a couple of concerns regarding facilitation for women entrepreneurs abroad. So she referred to an incident in Turkey and for the high freight cost, and then she's referring to her participation in Sri Lanka. I would advise her to strongly meet up with our new Secretary TDAP, Dr. Farid, who is a very helpful person. He's a dear friend also, and kindly do meet him. He will extend all kind of facilitation, whichever is available. Secondly, many people, so this forum is very important because a lot of people are not aware of what Ministry of Commerce has been doing in terms of regional connectivity. So EFS is one part of a bigger agenda that the ministry was working on. The second agenda was how to reduce the overall cost, freight cost, and processing cost of businesses which are doing trade regionally in the immediate neighborhood in our West, with cars, with Afghanistan, and also Turkey, reaching out to Turkey. So what we started doing, we initiated a process of entering into transit agreements with these regional countries. So we did one with Uzbekistan last year. We did one recently with Tajikistan. We are at a very advanced stage with concluding one with Kazakhstan and also one with Azerbaijan. This has enabled us now to reach out to these countries in much quicker time vis-a-vis what we were being able to do previously, say a year or 2 years ago. So our trucks can now reach to Uzbekistan within 5 to 6 days. Our trucks can reach now Turkey within 8 to 9 days. Hopefully, we will reduce that by a day or two more. We have some simplification work going on in close cooperation with customs. So we have been doing work on cross-stuffing. We've been doing work on allowing off-dock facilities. We have been doing work on multimodal support for transit movements and also for other goods. And we have been looking at the possibility of a trader sitting anywhere in the world, authorizing a local partner here in Pakistan and registering with VBOC and doing the transactions on their behalf. So these are the kind of procedural innovations that we are doing with customs, which will allow the cost and the processing time of trade much lessen. So this is one area on which especially Dr. Adullah Khuda was referring to various reports, and we are cognizant of those reports, and that is why this is a priority area for Ministry of Commerce. There was some mention of MRAs. Yes, we are also aggressively pursuing MRAs with various countries, both in our immediate neighborhood and also with our large trading partners. For instance, USA, UK, China, in some countries in ASEAN also, and of course, cars. We have had quite a bit of success in being able to negotiate MRAs, and so the products are going. Now, the next challenge to which Mr. Wajid Iqbal incidentally referred to, we don't have actually those kind of surpluses for the kind of market access that we have generated for them. So we need to really ramp up our domestic production to be able to get the benefit of the market access in Asia. For instance, look at beef. Now, China imports billions of dollars of beef, and they are very eager to import from Pakistan, but we don't have those quantities. They are willing to import animal feed. They are willing to import so many different products from us, but we don't have those quantities, or our exporters are not able to consolidate and be able to supply those quantities. So this is a challenge that we need to overcome, and hopefully some of the policy initiatives that are in the offing would be able to address those specific issues. And of course, logistic costs needs to be brought down. So we hope that unless a regulator is somehow appointed, in fact, the ITTMS project is looking at the possibility of devising a scheme, an institutional arrangement, whereby a regulator can be put in place through public-private partnership. And these logistic costs can be brought down both at the ports and after the goods leave the port through inland, freight arrangements. We did have some discussion about SMEs, so I don't want to dwell more on that. Regarding port efficiency, as I said, we have already started work in close cooperation with customs on reducing the dwell time at the ports. And of course, once the port community system is deployed by PSW, this will be further reinforced. So we will hopefully, within a few months, we will see the radical difference in that. And next time when our colleague from the private sector, who just referred to a lot of dwell time at the port, then hopefully will be referring lesser number of days, if not reduced to hours at the Karachi port. Regarding, very rightly, Mr. Wajid pointed out the elite capture here in Pakistan. So Ministry of Commerce has been very vocal in advocating that we need to have a level playing field in terms of incentives for our exporters. So whatever new initiative is coming, some idea he already will have regarding the incentive structure that is under debate at the government level. We are offering it to every exporter, not just to some specific sector. So those incentive schemes are now available for all exporters. So that is regarding level playing field for our exporters. Regarding yes, helpful institute, we need to hear out our private sector and look at ways where existing policy can address their concerns. And if existing policy cannot address their concern, then look at ways where we can tweak with the policy in ways where we don't take radical departure from a successful scheme already in place, but we do some tweaking here and there and address their operational issues. Regarding this PSW initiative, this will be very helpful in terms of generating data-driven policy making, which is one of the essential things that needs to be done at the government level. So every policy has to look at what the data is telling us. And if the data is telling us things which are different from the way the policy is currently being deployed, so we need to revisit those policy parameters and see how the data can be best utilized for more efficient policy making. And of course, the trade portal is again a great levelizer in terms of giving relevant information for SMEs and for those who are otherwise disenfranchised. So all the issues of asymmetric information to which Dr. Adil Nakhoda referred to are going to be addressed through this great initiative of allowing all kind of regulatory, non-regulatory, market access, MRA related, and so on and so forth information to our small exporters. And of course, inclusive growth is also one of the top agenda of the government right now as part of our e-commerce policy. I hope some of our colleagues here are aware that we have very successful experience with Amazon. And a lot of women entrepreneurs are now very successfully selling their products through Amazon, and not just through Amazon, but also through other fast moving online trade platform like JD. Which is from China, and Alibaba also. So we hope that this trend will continue. And as part of our EU GSP Plus also, we have been especially focusing on women participation in our export sector. And if I do not have the figure right now, but what I was able to recall as part of our engagement with EU, the women participation in our textile sector, especially in the value-added textile sector, in the garment sector, has risen manyfold in the last few years. That is a very encouraging, benchmark for us. And similarly, in IT sector, women participation is also growing very fast. Many more women entrepreneurs are forming startups and also are able to generate successful stories from there. So with this, I would end my part of the debate. I'm open to any questions. If somebody has any question, I'm willing to respond to that. And I hope that this series of webinars will continue in the future also. And I hope that we can have more focused dialogue with our private sector colleagues in future. Thank you.
Thank you, Sayyid Hamid Ali Saab. So just to end, we have a recorded message by Dr. Waqar Ahmed, Joint Executive Director, which includes the vote of thanks for this webinar. He unfortunately could not join us today due to a very pressing engagement at the Ministry of Finance. So he sent his apologies and a recorded message. So I would request the host to play the recorded message, please.
Let me start by thanking Pakistan Single Window and Pakistan Single Window's leadership for their collaboration in hosting this important webinar. These public-private dialogues and meetings are an important element leading to overall trade governance improvements. And we have seen it firsthand during the pandemic days. My deepest gratitude to our esteemed and distinguished colleagues representing the public sector at this webinar, starting with Mr. Mukarram Ansari Saab, Member Customs, FBR. His engagements with STPI since his Board of Investment days have helped enhance our faculty's understanding on important issues, including BRMI, and today, of course, we discuss Export Facilitation Scheme. I would also like to express my gratitude to Syed Hamid Ali Sahib, Additional Secretary, Ministry of Commerce, for taking out time and educating us on this important subject. Any such public-private dialogue is not complete without the presence and interventions of technical experts, for which we are happy that Dr. Adil Nakhuda, Mr. Salman Afzal, and Mr. Amjad Bashir Saab joined us despite their very busy schedules. You're also joined by a very engaging audience over our social media platforms. We thank the audience for their inputs through chat lines. In fact, many had started sending their questions and comments since yesterday when the call for this webinar was posted. We look forward to understanding and undertaking next and more important steps with Pakistan Single Window. These are expected to enhance private sector's understanding around trade competitiveness. At the same time, this will expedite ecosystem improvements within the trade facilitation framework, as well as in the wider trade governance framework provided by the public sector. In the coming days, STPI will also share its own findings on uptake and effectiveness of Export Facilitation Scheme. That will help bring all of us together for a second round of discussion on this subject. For this, my colleagues Ahad and Abdullah, who are leading the exercise, will be in touch with counterparts at FBR for relevant data, which can be useful to undertake such an empirical study. I once again thank all of you for your time and due attention to this important subject. Thank you.
So thank you. With this, we come to the close of this seminar. I would request my research team, Eamon and Maheen, to start working on the policy brief that will be coming out as part of the discussion we've had. And I'd like to thank all of our esteemed panelists for joining us, and of course the very engaging audience. And I've mentioned in the chat box, if you have any comments, questions, concerns, you can reach out to abdullah@stpi.org for these questions. So thank you all, and Allah Hafiz.